Great. Okay, so this is Freeform now. So I wanted to start off. I know, Mike, you had this thought earlier, and I think it's a good place to start, which is how does the head of IT, and if they are lucky to have a head of security as well, how does he or she start off with what you call back to the basics? If somebody has to say, okay, so what are the basic things that the head of IT, head of security needs to start off today? And Mike, why don't you start off and feel free to chime in?
Well, I think, and this is actually something I learned from Daniel earlier in my career, I think it really comes down to assessment as the first place to start. There have been, as I look around, less mature organizations that I've either been at or helped along that journey. Sometimes you'll look around and there will be one aspect that's really, really mature and very good, and then 11 that are completely non-existent. So I think the first step is to get that baseline to understand what's going on and to let the attackers prioritize the risk. If you have 10 different risks when you walk in the door, we know in higher ed, especially K through 12, you're not going to be able to fix all of those risks right away. But if you identify 2 or 3 of those risks are aligning with 80% of the attacks that institution's receiving, zero it in there. But I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks.
Well, I can kind of piggyback on that since you gave the nice tee up there, but in order to assess, we have to figure out what we're going to assess to, figure out what is important to us and figure out what the basics mean to us. And the basics that I've been preaching fall into really more of a governance and operational or risk and architecture type functions. And each one of those has complementary people, process, technology to actually make them work. And so whatever your industry or your standards that you choose, a NIST, an ISO, whatever, the assessment and then the alignment with those starts there. And yes, the attack in that operational division is probably going to be prioritized for you. Your risk by some of your scanning and assessments are going to be prioritized for you, but then you have a real opportunity within governance and your architectural decisions of how you want to steer your program. And those, obviously, I think a lot of us are used to that operational whack-a-mole, can't get out of that loop. But the more that we separate from that into that design and build, and yeah, there you got it. That strategic look is going to help.
And I would add to that the assessment should include both the technical and the people, and do some listening. A lot of CISOs, when they first go in, and I've heard this from the best, smartest higher ed CISOs that I know, is that one of the first things they do is they do that assessment, but that includes the technical understanding and the listening and understanding the different constituencies. You've got the faculty, you've got the administration, you've got the students that you have to take into account. And at higher ed, you've also probably got some teams that have grants, for example, from the government, and those grants come with a certain set of security requirements. So going around and listening to what's worked, what hasn't, and then understanding and assessing that can really help to really shore up and augment what you've discovered with the technical assessments.
That really, Diana, that really reminds me of my days back at ASU, where those organizations that were bringing in pretty big dollar amounts with grants had a lot of control and influence at the higher ed level, right? So I guess my 2 cents on this topic, and everybody's done such a good job teeing it up, is that by taking this approach from an assessment, especially focused around risk, from my perspective, that immediately puts it in terms that the business can understand. Because fundamentally, once you start talking about risk, that's a language that your CEO, your chancellor, provost, whoever understands. They don't have to understand the technical ramifications of the CVSS score or, whatever the case is. And then it also couches it in the right framework. So instead of trying to be dictatorial or drop a hammer that you may or may not have with regards to cybersecurity, put everything in context of risk in terms of, here's why I'm asking for what I'm asking. Here's why I'm recommending the program be structured in such a way where in year 1, we tackle this, year 2, year 3. And also get their acknowledgement about if if for whatever reason, you know, your school board or whatever doesn't want to do X, Y, and Z, at least they understand whether it's funding, competing priorities, or whatever the case is, then at least they understand, and you have given them an opportunity to formally acknowledge and accept, or say, no, I don't accept that risk. What do we need to do to address that? And so I think that approach pays dividends on multiple levels for sure.